Hi guys, welcome to the 5th episode of I decided to review and rank my entire CD collection. I'll put timestamps on this one so you can jump straight into the review. This series is going to probably take me about 3 years to complete at this rate. Why are you doing this, I hear you ask? Why not? I love music, I love talking, and I love talking about music. We haven't even scratched the surface of the 623 total CDs I own. Hang on a minute. 5 divided by 623 times 100. That's 0.8% of my whole collection we have covered so far. The TED talk about CDs being the GOAT way of listening to music does get shorter and shorter with each episode, so feel free to go back to episode 1 to truly understand my love of the format. To recap quickly where we're up to in the series, I have reviewed Adele, The Addicts and 2 AFI CDs that sound like 2 completely different bands. As you can see, they've been ranked AFI first, Adele second, AFI third and The Addicts album fourth. In this episode I will be completing a hat-trick of AFI CDs, reviewing their album Decemberunderground. AFI now make up 60% of the artists I've reviewed, but at the end of the series it will be fewer than 0.8%. It's not all AFI before you press unsubscribe. At the end of the video I'll be ranking the album amongst the rest of the CDs in the previous episodes. This series was supposed to be sentimental about where I was in my life both spiritually and literally when I bought each CD. But like many others in the series I had to check with Jeff Bezos, my Amazon dealer, of my whereabouts. And according to Baldy it was ordered in November 2012 along with 5 other albums by Melanchonin, The Dead Kennedys, Gogol Bordello, The Distillers and The Hives. I'm a huge Distillers and Hives fan and Dead Kennedys are in my top 5, so this is why Decemberunderground went over my head. It set me back a whopping 9p. I think the postage was £1.26. You can buy the CD now for 88p if you were wondering, so I've saved a lot. Decemberunderground was released in 2006, making me 17 years late to the party. It was a sequel to the previously mentioned and reviewed Sing the Sorrow, a landmark recording for the band in terms of a complete change of musical style to anything they have recorded before, as well as a commercial turning point due to signing to the major label DreamWorks after years of performing as a hardcore punk band on DIY independent label Nitro Records. Decemberunderground was produced by Jerry Finn, who I failed to mention produced Sing the Sorrow alongside Butch Vig, but here the music is produced by Jerry only. Thought I'd chuck in a Misfits joke as we're talking about AFI. Jerry had produced albums by the likes of Pennywise, Rancid, Alkaline Trio and Blink-182 prior to working with the major label X-Punk New Goths. It's also spent a week at number 1 in the Billboard 200 album chart, making this album the most successful in terms of record sales in the band's history. The album was released on Interscope Records as the Universal Music Group acquired DreamWorks in 2004, merging with Interscope, Geffen and A&M. In short, they were still on a major label. The band now have a decision to make. Do they consider their major label experiment a regret and revert back to old hardcore punk habits, or do they lean into their new gothic post-hardcore aesthetic and sound to see if they can push the boundaries further both creatively and commercially? Judging by the over-the-top stadium gothic rock theatre of opening track Prelude 1221, AFI have made their statement for the album. No way are we going back to our punk roots. We are now all in on this gothic emo screamo post-hardcore adventure that we flirted with on Sing the Sorrow. They have really turned their back on their old selves, as inspiration is provided from Marilyn Manson, The Cure and Depeche Mode, as well as more contemporary emo artists like My Chemical Romance and Taking Back Sunday. Even The Killers can be heard towards the end of this album. The single Miss Murder is a cheesy goth rock sing-along. Davey Havok's voice has somehow evolved yet again and added another layer of versatility to his craft. He sounds like the complete 80s understated Robert Smith goth star. It's clear why this is AFI's most popular song by a long way. It appeals to the mainstream rock audience whilst also featuring a sliver of screamo for good measure, making the more hardcore fan comfortable with this shift in sound. This is about where the compliments end. The difference between Decemberunderground and its predecessor is that Sing the Sorrow took many unpredictable musical twists and turns that made sense, chucking in many left field ideas and soundscapes that flashed very briefly. Not long enough to make the song too abstract, but frequently enough to pique interest. Even if the overall evolution for the band wasn't to everyone's taste, it was easy for fans to find at least a handful of songs they enjoyed. Decemberunderground is the opposite. It barely takes any intriguing left turns that catch you off guard. It's predictable. The songs remain in the same style throughout, which can work if the songs are exciting from beginning to end. Let's take Early Black Flag as an example. Simple, repetitive songs, but the song and sound is so fresh sounding and exhilarating it's okay to be repetitive. But these songs aren't exciting or captivating in any way. The choruses are incredibly cheesy throughout. Gone are the days of the mob vocal anthems in the pit, old AFI. It doesn't help that Decemberunderground is having to follow Sing the Sorrow. The expectations are high on the new album, as they should be from a band of this talent, but they are simply not met. The lyrics are what ChatGPT would come out with if you typed in generic gothic emo angst. Nothing to really capture the imagination. The vocal melody line is pretty much identical in songs like Summer Shudder, The Interview and Love Like Winter. They all follow on from each other and don't stand out. Similar key, similar tempo, similar bland vibe and similar vocal cadence that does nothing to make the recording stand out or have any replay value. The whole album was really disappointing. It was middle of the road, generic, dull, too samey, boring. There were too many filler songs on the album. This is the first AFI review I've done where I wasn't particularly blown away by the band's musicianship or Davey Havok's vocals. I know I stated he was versatile on Miss Murder, but that's about where it began and ended. I do still commend them for trying something new after all these years of being a hardcore punk band and sticking to their guns and going against the grain, but they missed the mark on this one. It's just there. It exists. It's just an album. It's songs. It's got no personality to speak of. The second album into changing your sound is always going to be the most difficult one to be a success. Creatively, everything was left with Sing the Sorrow, and I think the band probably knew this. This is why they had a 3-year hiatus in between releases. With that being said, I will give Decemberunderground a 3 out of 10. The first few songs did have potential, but the majority of the album was inoffensive, middle of the road, dirgy, forgettable mid-tempo emo numbers that just made me wish the album would finish sooner. I just wish when I looked into buying AFI albums I went backwards into their catalogue. I'm now listening to the 2000 album The Art of Drowning just to get the bland taste away. I'm having to stream it. Ugh. The cheapest CD was 40 quid on Amazon, RIP. Let's rank Decemberunderground with the rest of the albums I have reviewed. There is no real suspense here. I think you can guess what's coming with this ranking. I'm sorry Davey and the boys, you're going right to the bottom of the chart with this one. Of the 5 albums I've reviewed, Decemberunderground is the worst by quite a way. And that's saying something because I wasn't a big fan of the Addicts. AFI shouldn't worry too much because you're still number 1 with All Hallows and you're represented in the middle too. I'm sure you won't lose any sleep over my ranking. So here's a quick rundown of the CD chart so far. New at number 5 we have got Decemberunderground by AFI. Number 4, a non-mover, we've got The Addicts with 27. Non-mover again, we've got AFI with Sing the Sorrow. Number 2, we've got soul singer Adele with 21. And at number 1, we've got AFI with the All Hallows EP. Thank you for making it all the way through the video. Am I totally wrong about this era of AFI? Am I being too harsh? Am I being too nice? Are you fed up with AFI reviews? This was the last one, you may be pleased to know. In the next episode we'll have some hip hop, so that's something completely different and something to look forward to. Let me know in the comments your thoughts of this review. Like, share and subscribe. Let's get to double figures so we can get to Mr. Beast levels. Nice one. Cheers, see you in the next one.